You could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Get ready for 2 hours of hard-hitting football talk. Straight from their jocks about the jocks. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome once again to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Noodles? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are ready to go. I know there hasn't been a whole lot of news out there, but
Not really.
But we are here to help you along this long journey of waiting till week 1 happens. We are here for you guys. If you have anybody that is in need of us reaching out, talking some football to help you along this journey, we know there's a little depression involved with waiting for the football to kick off, but we are here to talk to you, to talk with you, to bounce off opinions, to do it all right here. And
Right now.
let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. We're excited to talk with you guys tonight, and we're getting to our segments that we usually do around this time. I mean, training camps are going to start in just a little bit.
August?
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, right here, once it starts, they get to start right ahead in July 21st is when they actually start here. Now, this is going to be the first time in ever for the NFL. They're all going to start pretty much the same time. So we're getting into it. And then the Hall of Fame game counts as a preseason game, too, as well, by the way. So it's going to be a strange offseason for us here. Different than we normally see, but we're ready to go. And we're going to get into the NFC North's biggest questions. This is what we do here around this time of year, and we're going to answer, hopefully, or just ask some of the biggest questions that are facing the NFC North right now. Join along with us here on the fun and in the chat box out there. If you guys got any questions, too, you want to ask about, too. But so let's cover the NFC North. And, Joe, let's tackle the Bears first here on this whole
Bears,
segment
all right.
here.
Well, I mean, first things first is the one question that everybody's going to be asking until we get to week 1, until Matt Nagy. I mean, Matt Nagy's come out and already said it, but who should be the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears team come week 1 for the Bears? And they have 3 different options. We have all seen Nick Foles. We've all seen him and do his thing with the Eagles, and then moving into Chicago. Had a small stint in Jacksonville, but just didn't make it work. And when he got his opportunity yet again in Chicago, he kind of failed to do so and take over this team. Thusly, we're now at this point, they bring over Andy Dalton from free agency to be their starter. At least that's what's being reported. Matt Nagy's come out and said he's our guy going into week 1 is Andy Dalton. And then they also traded up in the first round of the draft this year, or this past year, and got Justin Fields, quarterback out of Ohio State, which a lot of people were pretty high on. A lot of people liked his game. Mobile guy, also can make all the throws, has a strong arm, is very smart, and he can do it all. So what quarterback for the Chicago Bears should it be as the starter come week 1?
Yeah, absolutely. And you bring up the Red Rifle and Andy Dalton here. Here's his career stats that we have for you guys here. He's 70, 61, and 2, 62% completion percentage, 31,594 yards. The TDs are there, 204 to 118, but a rate here at only 87.5. And this is the problem you've had with Andy Dalton here when you look at his stats. Really close to, about 60-40 in touchdowns to interceptions. Very well known for the Buffalo Bills getting into the playoffs a few years ago, and they were donating. The fans were donating to his charity, saying thank you for having this happen for us. On a negative note for Dalton, had a stint there in for the Dallas Cowboys. Here, got banged up a little bit there, but was pretty effective for them when he was in there. So now that gives him his opportunity to be there for the Bears, and this was the game plan.
Right.
Have him there, take care of take over for Mitch Trubisky. Now has moved on, and now he's there with Nick Foles. Nick Foles was supposed to kind of be that stopgap guy for them. Maybe can take over
didn't
for
work
Trubisky
out.
if that doesn't pan out well for him. But now you've got both these veterans there. Andy Dalton's pretty much promised the job here, but then, yes, they go and draft Justin Fields there. But that we've heard so far in OTAs, Andy Dalton has taken Justin Fields under his wing and really helped him out and kind of been that mentor for him that you don't see a lot of these veterans do. Some of them are nice enough to do that, and they know their position for this team. Andy Dalton has been that guy to do it here. Now, will it be Justin Fields that's going to sit behind him and have Dalton be the veteran and show him as he goes and go back to the line after some, sets of plays and tell him, hey, kid, this is what I saw here, blah, blah, let's go over top of the notes? Or is Justin Fields just going to do enough in training camp now to take over that lead position for them? And now they have Andy Dalton or a Nick Foles, which they might even try and trade away to a point that might need a quarterback that maybe gets injured in camp or some other situation here, to be a veteran to come in if they have to, if, say, there might be by chance an injury to Justin Fields or something like that.
Or what you're seeing, too, is Matt Nagy's already made this claim that Andy Dalton is heads and tails the starter. There's no question about it. But what I really think Nagy was doing is he just didn't want to hear the questions all the time. I think he put it out there, but like, hey, listen, we didn't bring Andy Dalton in here for nothing. He's our starter going into training camp and all that. Just to kind of debunk any kind of questions, because he's going to be peppered week after week, practice after practice. Who's a starter? Did you decide yet? What's going on? So I think this was also another way for Nagy to kind of dodge all that, get ahead of it, and say, listen, Dalton's our starting quarterback, and that's it. So now that we have that from Nagy to go off of, we also know that Matt Nagy isn't the greatest at making decisions. So who should be the quarterback? Yes, Dalton is a nice pick to be that stopgap quarterback to come in and be that consummate veteran to help teach Justin Fields along the way, keep him out of season, and help him just learn until it's his time to pass the torch on to him. But my opinion here is you traded up pretty high to take Justin Fields in the top 10. And if you're doing that, you have enough conviction, enough confidence to go up there, get your potential franchise quarterback in Justin Fields, and then coming into this offseason, it's just about teaching him the system, teaching him the offense. If Justin Fields can nail down this offense that Nagy has and Bill Lazor as the offensive coordinator, if he can learn the offense pretty well in time for week 1 to happen, to me it's a no-brainer. You have to start your guy that you invested in Justin Fields. The only way he's going to get experience is getting him on the football field. And I understand you don't want to just throw him out there. And that's why it is all predicated on him learning the system. As long as he can learn the offensive system, I think it's not a question. You have to put him out there, let him learn as he goes, and trigger those experiences that a quarterback is not going to get by sitting on the sideline and holding a clipboard. So definitely I am a very big favorite of Justin Fields. I love this kid. I think he has it all for Chicago. Could definitely help them reach new heights. But it's all going to be decided in the end by Matt Nagy. Andy Dalton, should he be? I say yes, only if Fields can't get the playbook down. If he can't get the playbook down, then okay, obviously I agree with that move. You have the veteran go in there and show him the ropes. If Fields is ready, though, if Fields proves throughout training camp, halfway through training camp, even if it's the last week, and he proves enough to this offensive coaching staff, like, hey, not only do I know the offensive playbook, but I got chemistry now with my receivers. I know what I'm doing. I'm comfortable. You have to start Fields.
Absolutely, and that's the thing you're talking about here is mainly between these two guys because he already knows what he had in Nick Foles for the previous year for this team, and it is too. It's building a relationship with the receivers too. I mean, who's working most with the number ones and things like that. And you're going to see some of that here in this training camps moving forward, coming up in July with these guys, and how that takes hold. But like you said, I think the strong way it's going to be, the way it has been set up, and every team's going to do that anyways too. I mean, I brought this guy in to be the starter. They went and got their youthful guy under there. Dalton's already being a mentor. He's going to go in, and then basically, for the media at least, then starts the ticker. Of when Justin Fields is going to go in. They're just going to be waiting for this Bears team to have kind of a struggles here and there or whatever. Andy Dalton maybe even get hit. He got injured last year because of the pressure on that weak Dallas Cowboys line, because they were injury prone there too as well.
And that's the thing, too.
And that's what happened there for him.
As far as the Bears O-line goes, they're almost in a similar boat as the Cowboys O-line, because yes, they went and they drafted Tevin Jenkins to help replace the left tackle spot there, the big hole that they had there. But also in free agency, they didn't really bring guys in that are seen as dominant or good enough starters. Like, you got Jermaine Ifedi playing right guard right now, a guy who's been a journeyman throughout this league, has bounced around to a lot of teams, and it's not because he's a stellar right guard. He's just not that good. So he fails in protection a lot of times. So, and you also have a guy in like Elijah Wilkinson, who come over from Denver, another guy who's been a depth player for Denver, and now is seen so far on the depth chart as possibly being the right tackle, the starter for right tackle, which begs the question: like, is Chicago honestly comfortable with this situation? Because I don't care who's at quarterback at this point now. If you have Dalton or Fields, most likely they're going to be running a lot and running for their lives, because that right side is not strong enough up front. So I guess in your evaluation of quarterbacks as well, like training camp, when we're going to really see how these guys play is preseason games. That's the little glimpse of talent that we're going to see, not only around them, but also them themselves. So can Andy Dalton handle the pressure that may come towards him with this offensive line in front of him? And we all know that Dalton is not the most mobile guy. He's not seen as a mobile guy. He can run when needed, but he's more of that pocket passer. So do you really want to go with him at that point? Or if Fields is caught up to the point where you feel comfortable with, he's mobile. He can take off and run. Runs a 4.40. Very fast guy for his size. So, you might. That's another part of the equation that you're going to have to think about as well.
Yeah. And the other situation that was kind of harboring over them during free agency is Allen Robinson. They threw out the franchise tag onto him now for the second time. He was really reluctant of signing it, but then again figured here we're going to go with the fines and things like that. He wants out. It's clear, but he's signing it, dealing it, going to be a stand-up guy here, play for this team one last time. And so the question here is it his last year? You would think that it has to be. So that's the other question that's facing this team as well. So what are they going to do with it here? I really don't see them say Justin Fields goes in. All right, he plays well. Is that enough to say, hey, look, Allen Robinson, Justin Fields is playing well. Let's see what we have here still. If you stick around and go for this, here we go. We've got our franchise quarterback now. We want you to be part of that now moving forward. That's a hefty thing to lay on him, but again, does that change anything of the decisions that the franchise has made prior to that has forced Allen Robinson, coaching staff? Because, again, if the Bears don't perform enough this season, we've all well known about Matt Nagy being on the chopping block or on the hot seat here. We talked about it a little bit last week, and it's been it's a conversation for a few seasons now. He's handed over the play calling now duties over, getting that off his plate now, saying maybe I can control and concentrate on the team as a whole now, not so much of the plays, and maybe this is the change that we need. This is something that can maybe get the team moving in the right position here, right order. Maybe it's my fault on this. I'm calling the plays. So open to making those changes, but that's what he has to do right now, because now I think he's getting desperate at this point.
Yeah, and here's the whole thing with Allen Robinson is they franchise tagged him not once, but now this is his second time being tagged. So this upcoming offseason, he's free to go. Free and clear to go, and we know the last couple of years Allen Robinson's wanted out. He's like, I'm done with this team. I don't know if it's his personal feelings towards Matt Nagy or someone else on this coaching staff that he just wants out, or if he hasn't seen enough in terms of the organization doing enough to try to make this team a winning caliber team. That's debatable either way, but Robinson, nonetheless, we've heard him over and over say, I want out of this team, and we already know that he reluctantly signed the 1-year contract to come back.
Right.
We know he doesn't want to be there, but like you just brought up though, he could change his mind. You know, if Andy Dalton or Justin Fields enhances this offense in some form or fashion and makes this team able to score more points, maybe Robinson towards the end of the year will come around a little bit like, hey, okay, so now we got a legitimate quarterback. Things are looking good. You know, maybe they made the playoffs or whatever. Now that's when you can start to kind of have a conversation with Allen Robinson, be like, hey, listen, we really want you, like you were saying, still be a part of this team. Would you consider signing a new deal with us? That could happen too. But as of right now, as it stands, Robinson wants out. He's looking 100% towards the offseason. Can't wait to get out of there. But again, could change. Another thing too is another wide receiver that not a lot of people know about is Darnell Mooney. Kind of started to make a name for himself last year. Wow. It's possible he could have a breakout year this year. I think now that you have a veteran in Andy Dalton who does a really good job of distributing the footballs all over the football field and is smart and gets rid of the ball quickly. So Darnell Mooney, you know, last year in limited fashion, like he played in all 16 games but only started in 9 of them, so half the year basically. Had 61 receptions, also like over 600 yards receiving and 4 touchdowns. So had a nice little display of what he can provide for the Chicago team. I think this year he could take it to a whole other level, especially now that you have Robinson back again for this year. Now you have 2 receivers that could really kind of split this defense up, and Darnell Mooney could be the benefactor of all this because you know what? The protection is going to go completely against Robinson. He's the number 1 guy. He's the big threat. But Mooney can just take whatever is given to him and let the stats show that he belongs as a starting caliber receiver this year. Darnell Mooney, I think he could potentially be a breakout player, especially for Chicago this year.
There you go. And then you talked about maybe, again, trying to get Allen Robinson there. Mooney, play as well. Mm-hmm. You know, Anthony Miller, we've heard talks about they want to even maybe put him on the trading block there. He's there, too, as well.
He's been on the trading block.
And then Ryan was it? Oh, I can't think of
Riley Ridley.
Riley Ridley there, yeah, too, as well. I mean, so there's some weapons they still have around there for these guys. But then everybody, again, the question goes back to that defense. When they went and grabbed Khalil Mack and brought him there to the Chicago Bears, that's, he was part of that with Akeem Hicks there. Moving forward, this was one of the old, type of strong defenses that the Chicago Bears are kind of known for. Mm-hmm. This was them moving forward with a quarterback that just needed to not make so many mistakes and not turn over the ball because the defense was forcing enough turnovers and shutting out some of the other teams. So since then, and we've lost Vic Fangio there over there to the Broncos, they've kind of sputtered here and there, switching D coordinators a few times now. This is the question here, will that defense get back to what they were attempting to do a few years back with Khalil Mack, or is it just going to be kind of the same old, and then maybe there's going to be questions forced upon them with Khalil Mack?
And real quick, to go back to that receiver discussion about Darnell Mooney, this could be the reason why you see a guy like Anthony Miller being put on the trade block because they have confidence in not only Darnell Mooney, but also maybe in a guy like Riley Ridley, who's kind of similar to Anthony Miller, in stature and in the way he plays. So, that also could just show you how much confidence Chicago has in a guy like Mooney. Mm-hmm. So maybe we're on the right track here. But going back to the defense conversation, Bears defense, can they become one of the best once again? And this is something that I kind of struggle with here is because the last time that they were truly dominant, where offenses really were intimidated by the Chicago Bears defense, was when Vic Fangio was their D coordinator last. Since then, they've had Chuck Pagano kind of take the reins. They got worse. They never really got better. And yeah, you could also make the argument, but they were heavily injured. Okay, I'll give you that. But when they were healthy, they still didn't show enough under Pagano and now under the new D coordinator enough of anything. So last year, okay, Khalil Mack was banged up. Akeem Hicks missed most of the season. They had a lot of injuries. Roquan Smith was also injured, out for most of the year. Danny Trevathan was banged up. He didn't play much. So they were missing a lot of key pieces on this defense. Now that they're all coming back and they're all coming healthy and now it's a whole new year, is it going to be enough? I'm not really sure, because they've also gone through some changes now as well on this defense. You look at the cornerback position. They had a hole there with Kyle Fuller leaving this team. One of their cornerstone pieces at that position. Now he's gone. They fill in that spot with Desmond Trufant, a guy who's been a lifer for Atlanta Falcons, but also heavily injured. Is he going to be able to stay healthy to, perform well and add to this defense? That's going to remain to be seen. Also, Tashawn Gibson, that comes over from Jacksonville, one of the safeties. Is he going to be a guy who can not only come in and play alongside a guy like Eddie Jackson, who's a Pro Bowler, but can he help elevate this defense, elevate this secondary to be even better than what they were? And Robert Quinn, I am sorry, I haven't seen enough from him in Chicago. Was with Dallas for a small stint, had a pretty darn good year with his sack totals and everything, but now he comes to Chicago, and it's almost like he kind of disappeared. Part of that could be because of Khalil Mack being injured and not being there always, but that remains to be seen. And then also, you get Danny Trevathan back, you get Roquan Smith back. So talent shows up on the football field, right? So you have all these guys coming back healthy with Akeem Hicks and all that. Do I think they're going to be better? Absolutely, because as long as they can stay healthy, they have enough talent on this roster to overcome a lot of the negatives. But as far as not having a true and good enough D coordinator, I think since Vic Fangio's left, I think they're still struggling to find the right guy there to utilize all this talent that they have. And I'm just not 100% down with the fact that this defense, even though they may be healthy this upcoming season, are going to take enough big strides to get into that dominant role like they once were.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the questions facing the Chicago Bears right now. So now the next team we're going to take a look at now for the NFC North is the Detroit Lions now. They've made a bit of a switch too as well, and now the ownership, they've passed over things to the daughter now, and so now they're trying to look into a new direction. They've always spoke about now here trying to get back to the old traditional winning ways of the Lions, which a lot of people nowadays don't even remember any of those times.
When did that happen?
Yeah, when did it happen? So they're just looking for, at this point, I think, an average season, and then instead of a losing season.
It'd be great if they went 500.
And they've been kind of like a snake-bitten team. I wouldn't say it even a lot of it is just decisions that they've made, It just seems a lot every year, whether it be Matthew Stafford, going down with an injury, or some of the other personnel that they had. They haven't been able to really have luck with running backs as well. And they wasted a lot of some of these bigger talents, like you've heard about Megatron and Barry Sanders and stuff like that, and not being able to get it done here with them. And Matthew Stafford now goes in a trade over to the Rams, and now the Rams get Jared Goff. So now the big question, I think, that a lot of people are facing here for this team and the Detroit Lions is after stepping out of Sean McVay's shadow here, because he's been kind of overshadowed by how smart McVay and all the things the media talks about him. Now, will he be able to validate himself as a franchise quarterback here for the Detroit Lions? Because I recall plenty of times when there was things that had happened with the offense when they're like, oh, wow, Jared, was that you bringing in that play, or was that a decision by Sean? It's like you kind of you can see it in his face, kind of like, no, that was all me. Yep, that was me that time. I believe you guys can't give me any credit for anything. And the problem is, I think, is that everybody kind of still looks back at when he had Jeff Fisher there. And he just started out. He had 5 touchdowns, 7 picks. Didn't look very good. Then Sean McVay comes in there. Then he's looking at 28, over 20 touchdowns and a fewer interceptions here. So I think after it's all said and done, and even the willingness to trade to get Matthew Stafford and get rid of Jared Goff was kind of a thing that goes along with what the media is trying to narrate for everybody here.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with some of that because, quarterbacks always get the blame no matter what. So whenever they do bad, they're going to get blamed heavily. And what happened here? Why couldn't you guys score more points? Why couldn't you do this? Why couldn't you do that? That's one thing. For Jared Goff, as far as with Jeff Fisher and then Sean McVay comes into the room and all of a sudden he starts to light it up a little bit. That also goes with the new GM that they had in place, the additions that they made to this team. Because honestly, when Jared Goff first came to that team, they had no offensive line. They had no real weapons to throw to. They had Brandon Cooks, but that was really it. So then when Sean McVay came over, they got a little bit more aggressive. They had Cooks for a small stint. They drafted.
They brought in Robert Woods too from the Bills, and you got to see him.
Right, Robert Woods has been there since
too.
then. But they also drafted Cooper Kupp, who kind of lit it up. And then the tight ends that they managed to rotate in and out. So, and not to mention the running backs that they had. Then they drafted Todd Gurley, and Todd Gurley was in his prime, and he was amazing, and everyone's like, so there was a lot to go into that too. It was like not so much it's Jared Goff's problem; it's his fault for why he was struggling early on, then got a little bit better when McVay get there. But for Goff, it's kind of. Here's the thing about this trade. Like, even when you bring up with Goff being traded for Stafford, well, does that show that Sean McVay didn't have enough confidence in Goff, and that's why they moved on from him? No, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? If I had a chance to trade for a better quarterback right there and then, yeah, Stafford's better. So you go and you make that trade, because if you truly believe that this one player or whatever is going to catapult you into that playoff realm, is going to catapult you into possibly a Super Bowl run, then you do that. And I'm not saying Goff is going to be a terrible quarterback or anything. I think he's a good quarterback. I think now that he's gone, and listen, by far, I think Detroit won this trade. I mean, when you get two number ones and you get your franchise quarterback at the same time, wow. I mean, so even though it is Jared Goff, and some people may be down on this guy, and do I think he can prove everybody wrong? Yes, I do. But when you also take that into account, now he's with Detroit Lions, all right? So the other thing, the other side of this coin here is, does Jared Goff have enough weapons to be successful now that he's moved on to a different team?
Right, and I think that's why this question is posed upon him here, because now will be the test now. Because even, like you said, you started listing off all of the talent he ended up getting around him, too, with McVay.
And then he flourished.
So now he doesn't have it. So is he that guy to step up and make some things happen here? We have this conversation all the time. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying anything bad about Jared Goff either, because I'm in the same boat you are.
Right.
I think he gets dogged for no reason.
Absolutely.
But this is the question that's asked now, and we ask it of plenty of quarterbacks. We heard it. We're in New York. We hear it all the time with Sam Darnold and stuff. Mm-hmm. Now he's over in with Carolina, so we're gonna not hear about that so much anymore. But it's gonna be the next one up, and this is where it's gonna be. It's like, all right, now he's in Detroit. Now he's kind of left there to die, maybe, or what can he do with the lack of weapons here that even Matthew Stafford could not do?
Right, and that's the thing too, is you look at what he's going into now. Definitely is a way weaker, arsenal that he's walking into. You know what I mean? Look at guys like they just signed from the Jets, Brashad Perriman, guy that hardly played last year. The previous year before that, when he played with Tampa, he freaking excelled. He was doing amazing for them. Had over 1,000 yards, had double-digit touchdowns, a lot to like there. Now he's completely healthy yet again. Now he comes over to Detroit. I think that's going to help him out. Absolutely. And they also go ahead and they sign a guy like Tyrell Williams, who was out all year last year for the Raiders, a guy that has been a under the radar type of receiver for pretty much his whole career. Started it with the Chargers, went to the Raiders, went to the Bills, and now he's in Detroit. Can he sustain health? I mean, that's one of the biggest things about this game, is if you can't be healthy to be on the football field, you can't show what you can do or help your organization. So it's a big question mark for Williams to even stay healthy. But if he does, think about what it is. They got a couple of guys that need to still prove a lot in this league. Mm-hmm. And because of that, and they go ahead and they sign a guy or draft a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, mm-hmm. who I think is a guy that's got to be developed a little bit further, but could be that next big weapon that they could use in this arsenal. And Quintez Cephas, who's drafted the year prior, he's looking to still develop. Maybe he could even add some firepower.
Right, and early on in that draft, too, they got to address the offensive line with Penei Sewell there, too, in the first round at the right tackle position, trying to help out Frank Ragnow there, who's been their rock kind of for that team. trying to get him help, get him protection, things like that they
You
weren't
have
able
to.
to do for Matthew Stafford
Yeah.
here. Give him time to throw the ball out because, again, you've got T.J. Hawkinson there too as well. Darren Fell's still, making some things happen too. If they happen to go 2 tight end sets, he can still make some plays for these guys too as well. And now, so what will this offense look like here under Dan Campbell and
And that's the thing is it's not really under Dan Campbell. It's whoever he hired as their offensive coordinator. I fully expect you look at this coaching
Anthony
staff.
Lynn is going to be the offensive coordinator for him. So
Who's it?
Anthony Lynn.
Oh, so from the Chargers. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see more of a Chargers style offense. So balanced offense, run the football, create space through running the football, and throw the ball down the field.
Which I think
that's
got
really what you're going to
dogged
see.
a little bit to himself on the other side in the coaching position over there for the Chargers too. I think Anthony Lynn was doing a fairly good job. Thanks for the Chargers
As a
here.
head coach,
As
yes.
a head coach.
Absolutely. He was doing a great job, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But questionable move, I think, by the Chargers. I don't think they should have gone, let him go or get rid of him. But hey, they made the decision. That's it. Now it's the Detroit Lions' game. They got a guy who has experience as a head coach, who can command men, and he's going to fill in that offensive coordinator role. So that's kind of what you could see. Is it's going to be somewhat similar to what the Chargers were running on offense, a little bit more balanced, especially when you've got guys like DeAndre Swift coming back at the running back position, a guy who kind of started to really excel as a rookie last year. He's pretty impressive. And then, like you mentioned with this offensive line, Penei Sewell, probably the best lineman coming out this past draft. Definitely one of the best. But here's my thing about this offensive line is, they added Penei Sewell, but can Taylor Decker stay healthy for once as their left tackle? This guy has been injured quite often, almost every single year. Hasn't been able to stay on the football field to help protect a guy like Stafford. Now you have new fresh meat coming at the quarterback position and a younger guy. Can he help stay on the football field, protect the guy? Let's see what happens with that offensive line as well.
Yeah, and now when I bring up Dan Campbell and Anthony Lynn, the new regime in there, they no longer are working on now the Patriot system here to where that was kind of like,
True.
this is my way or
True.
the highway. They've
Yeah,
got
it's different.
Dan Campbell in there. He's talking about bringing live lions. He's wearing was it the Indy 500 driver helmets at press conferences. This guy is an
Biting
animal.
kneecaps off.
Biting kneecaps off. I think he's absolutely nuts, but I don't know if it works.
Maybe it's what they need.
My question is, again, can Dan Campbell kind of gain the respect of this locker room for this team? Because they were on the opposite side here. He's a totally different coach from what they previously had. So is he the thing that they like? Is what's going to work for him?
As far as personality goes, he's definitely like this very big disciplinarian, a guy that takes doesn't joke
no
around,
nonsense
no
guy,
nonsense, but goes after. But he's also a player's coach. He can relate to the players a lot better, I feel like, than Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming from a old high school coach mentality, like he's in your grill and everything, but he's like, I used to play too. Let's put the pads on. I'll do it as well. Let's do drills. Let's go. You know what I mean? So he's very passionate about football. He's very passionate about being the coach. For one, looks like he's truly enjoying himself as being the head coach and can't wait to get into the grind of the training camp. And I think that's going to reflect well with the players. I feel like they're going to buy in, maybe not necessarily right away, because usually when you have a new coaching staff come in, the whole coaching staff has to basically earn the trust of the players all over again. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think in the end, by week 1, I think this team is going to buy in on Dan Campbell, and they're going to really feed off his energy, because that's one thing he really does have, and Patricia didn't really have. He didn't have that. Like, not to say he didn't have passion for the game, but he just didn't have that intensity, that outlandish demeanor about him to kind of like get with the players. You know what I mean? Didn't have a personal connection at all. A lot of the players from when Patricia was the head coach, they said that he was like just to himself, didn't really talk to anybody. So that right there is you're creating distance from the players. You don't need that. You need them to be close to you. You need them to buy in. And I feel like with Campbell there, I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to bring the troops in together. We are a family. We are Lion pride through and through. He's going to deliver that message and say, we play for each other no matter what. Let's go get these guys. You know what I mean? So I feel like in the end, with his personality, along with his all business attitude, it's going to reflect well with the Lions players, and I think they are going to buy in.
Yeah, there you go. So, what else now you have here for the questions here for the Detroit Lions?
Another thing, too, is talking about buying in is also with the Lions, we all know that last year their defense didn't look that well. They looked pretty scrappy. They didn't really get the job done all in all and stopping other teams from scoring points on them. But what is their true strength on this team? You know, I really think that going into this year, it's a little bit different. You got some different faces in the coaching staff. You also have some new teachings being delivered. But for me, when I look at this roster on paper right now, it's obviously just blatant to me is that the defensive line is their strength of this team. You look at how deep this line is. When you got guys like Trey Flowers, who comes back, one of the pass rushing specialists, came from the Patriots, was a double-digit sack artist before he got there. Now he needs some help. So it looks like they'd really concentrated on giving Trey Flowers this help. They trade for Michael Brockers over from the Rams. He's playing D-tackle. You also got a guy in free agency in Romeo Aquara from the Giants who was seen as a pass rushing specialist. He comes over to help Trey Flowers out. Maybe Flowers doesn't get double-teamed as much this way. And also they went heavy in the draft. I mean D-tackle heavy in the draft. Grabbing two of the biggest and best nose tackles coming out. You got Aleem McNeil from North Carolina State. You got Levi Nzuriki, also coming from Washington. Two guys that are not only strong and powerful, but guys that you are not going to move up the middle. So forget about running up the middle with these guys. So all in all, you got, if they pan out as rookies early in this season, you're looking at one of the deepest and best defensive lines possibly in this division. Because, yes, I really believe that this team has that ability, especially the defensive line. Now, when you look further in back and towards the other layers of this defense, you could say, all right, they're kind of a little bit of a Swiss cheese defense after that point. And that's why I feel like, listen, it all starts in the trenches, right? So Dan Campbell has that same philosophy, and you're seeing it being applied here. This is his first offseason that he's had. Wait and see what he does in future off seasons, because it looks like he's building from the inside out, like a lot of the programs are designed to do. So, a little bit of a weekend, in terms of the linebacking core. Jamie Collins, he's there yet again, but I don't feel like he's going to fit this defensive scheme that well. We'll have to wait and see. But all in all, the only real guy that kind of strikes fears in people's hearts is Jeff Okuda at cornerback, and a guy like Tracy Walker at safety. But other than that, they're still building to get better going forward.
See, Michael Guerrero's in the house with us tonight.
What's going on, Mike?
He says Detroit can also eat your kneecaps. See, that's what waiting to see how this team reacts. Because, again, we've seen, Robert Saleh here on the sideline stuff. We're excited, as, with being based here in New York, how that's going to affect the Jets here and on the sidelines. He's going to be that, going nuts on the sidelines there when things happen and for a positive or even negative. It seems like Dan Campbell, we might get that same type of effect. He's just not going to sit there and shrug his shoulders, or Matt Patricia used to sit there and start biting his nails or his lips or something like that. Well, it's just happening. Or his pencil, going nuts.
Got nervous.
He just stood there and stewed in it all. But we'll see what happens with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, one more thing about the Lions too is what are we going to really expect from this offense and this defense this year? Because now you have a new coaching staff in place. What could we kind of simulate to or whatever? But you look at this coaching staff, it's heavily New Orleans Saints assistants that kind of got brought over with Dan Campbell. So you look at a guy like Aaron Glenn, who is now the D coordinator. So look for the Saints to kind of mimic what what the New Orleans Saints have been doing in offense. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to be as gimmicky as with Sean Payton, because he's just a whole different breed down there calling plays.
Sean McVay or
Sean Payton from the New Orleans Saints.
New Orleans Saints, okay.
He's just a whole different breed. So he's super creative. I don't think they're going to be that creative with this offense, but I think they're going to run it similar as New Orleans does in their base offense. Defensively, look for them to do some of those, linebacker blitzes. That's where Jamie Collins kind of excels into this defense. And it's going to be pretty similar to that, where they do kind of a little bit of zone, a little bit of man, and mix it up that way, mix up zone blitzes and so forth. So that's what you could hope to expect to see. And hopefully, I'm really praying for you guys in Detroit. I really hope you guys do a lot better than last year.
Yeah, it's been a long time, or even previous the last 20 years. How about that? It's so for the best for you guys.
Salt in the wounds.
Absolutely. So, and Michael Guerrero, he also says, "Great show, guys. Thank you very much, Michael." And he says, "Do the Giants beat the Donkeys week 1?" Absolutely.
Yes.
They're gonna take them
Yeah.
down. It's no doubt. I'm not worried about it.
I
in
mean,
my
you
mind.
look at that. You look at the Giants team. They are so much better in terms of roster and in terms of what they were able to accomplish last year. I mean, their defense started to play so much better last year, and now they even added more talent to that side of the ball. And then you have even more talent on the offensive side. There's no question. You got Saquon Barkley coming back. I mean, they're going to be hard to contend with for the Donkeys for sure.
Yeah, is absolutely, and serious wide receivers here too. So I mean, that's a lot better for them. And again, I don't think even the Broncos knew who their quarterback is coming into the season yet. So there's a major problem for them.
I think that they're just going to roll with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, why
We'll
not?
see. We'll see. All right, so that brings us to the Green Bay Packers now here. We're doing the NFC North's biggest questions. There's a lot of questions, I guess, facing the Green Bay Packers at this point.
Yeah, right.
Mainly the big one about Aaron Rodgers, but they have some other things to also question about with this team, Joe.
That's the thing is, the Packers. Here's the thing too, and this could go in two different parts. This is how we're going to have to answer this question because of the uncertainty of what's going on with Rodgers. Do the Packers have enough firepower on offense to succeed? And this has been
It's been a question for the last couple of seasons.
It's been a big criticism by none other than Aaron Rodgers himself, saying, I need more weaponry. I need better talent at the receiving positions. You can't say that much about the running back position. That shit's locked down. You got Aaron Jones there. You got A.J. Green, who's their bell cow, for short yardage and then some. So they have the firepower. And don't forget about tight end, Robert Tonyan. Guy's an absolute beast. He's a guy that I compare to George Kittle a lot because that's who he reminds me of. Robert Tonyan, I hope that he's utilized even more this year, regardless of the quarterback throwing the ball. But when you look at their breakdown in the receivers, it's Devontae Adams. Everybody knows him, right? Absolute stud, Pro Bowler, All-Star at wide receiver, one of the best in the league right now, no question. But after that, there's a huge drop-off. You got guys like Allen Lazard, who's basically a possession-type receiver, to a guy that moves the chains, and Aaron Rodgers utilizes him once in a while. But, again, not a guy that's going to break loose and take the roof off the defense and expose them. So, beyond that, you got guys like Equanimeous St. Brown, who's been in the loop. You know what I mean? Been in there, hasn't really excelled, hasn't really earned a starting job, and he's still there. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, a guy.
All these same names and getting it
Right.
because Aaron Rodgers is still asking, hey, where's my even help? I'm like, you kind of already know the situation there. You can't keep riding with these guys if
It's
that's
the
the
same
problem.
thing every year, and it hasn't been, it hasn't been added to. So, Rodgers, one of his biggest complaints was that. And that's why we see him sitting out right now. But if you were to tell me 100% that you had no question Aaron Rodgers is going to play for Green Bay Packers, do I think Rodgers could make it work? Yes, I think he could make it work yet again. But that's not what he needs. You need to take some weight off his shoulders. You need to get him some playmakers. And look, two off seasons ago, I should say, they did sign a guy by the name of Devin Funchess. Coming over from the Panthers, big 6'5" type of receiver, a guy that you could get him the ball. That was pretty good, and that was good. And he could get him like in the red zone. He could also utilize him, in the intermediate of the field. But he's been injured since. He hasn't played football not only last year, but also, is he 100% healthy yet? We don't even know that. And right now, if you look at the depth chart, it looks like he's the 5th-rated receiver, which has got to show you that maybe he's not up to what he used to be able to do. He's not healthy enough yet. So that's got to be concerning. If that's a guy that you went to bring in to add to this team, and now there's a question that he might even make the team. He might not be healthy enough. You're right back to where you started. So, do I think Rodgers could do it? Yes, of course. It's Aaron frickin' Rodgers. Of course he could make this work. But then on the other side of the coin, you also have a guy in Jordan Love, who they traded in the first round. That's what kind of spurned Rodgers as well. And if he's the starter going forward, sorry, he's not Aaron Rodgers. Do I think he might be able to show flashes? Sure. I think he could show some flashes here and there. But in the end, he's not going to be the guy to kind of push this team into the playoffs at all, or even compete for the division. I think he's going to make too many mistakes. Him being never playing, a true game as a starter, that's got to be a little concerning if you're a Green Bay Packers fan. So
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. And the thing, they've had him on the back burner. We've heard talks coming out of camp from this guy again, too, that he's just not ready. So the fact
doesn't
that they're
look good in
dealing
OTAs.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it is to not look good in
Look good,
OTAs?
yeah.
There's
It's
no
pretty simple.
defenders. They're just
And they're
it's
not
like,
trying to hit you or hurt you and things
no,
like that.
you got no pressure really. You got all the time in the world to throw to your receivers, and then even if you put a defensive back on a receiver, they're not going all out. They're not trying to hurt themselves. They're just kind of jogging with them. Hey, go ahead, catch it.
Right, and then again, you go in the offseason when you find out about what's going down with Aaron Rodgers here, that he's willing just to sit out. You go and grab Blake Bortles here, the tongue biter that everybody knows about, again, who has been to one of those bigger games, AFC Championship game, kind of has a little bit of experience for that, is a little better off than, say, Jordan Love. So even if they plug him in at this point, he's been known as just kind of that game manager, but not enough even to get that team over the hump. And with a team that's been to the playoffs multiple times here and off to a good start with a young, fresh coach here, you would think that they would not want to try and restart this whole thing or break it down and have issues like that. They just want to keep the ball rolling. So that's why the next question ends up being with these guys. I mean, with this season, if Aaron Rodgers is out or in or whatever, is it going to be a tear down and rebuild, or are they just going to kind of maybe just pull out a couple different things? I know they talked about the defensive players, about maybe changing up some of their contracts that they have to try and save us some money, maybe unload a few of them to try and retool this team. So will it be like a rebuild or a retool for the Green Bay's going forward?
I mean, and that's the funny thing too, is this question is kind of a little bit, mysterious in a way, because you look at what they've been doing, though. They have kind of been rebuilding in a sense, not adding to Aaron Rodgers' arsenal, not adding to him to help him out to catapult this team to possible contention. But they've been, we're going to trade up in the first round and draft your replacement pretty much, at quarterback. Oh, in the second round of that same draft, we're not going to draft a wide receiver. No. We're going to draft almost like a replacement or a guy in tandem with Aaron Jones in A.J. Dillon. Like, they didn't the first two rounds of that draft, this past, the two drafts ago, they just kind of didn't add to help Aaron Rodgers or this team overall. It's like they secretly like, hey, we're going to plan for the future. Let no one pay attention to this. We're fine. We're okay. And they just added guys that could help them in the future, not so much immediately right now. So you look at that, and in a sense, they've been rebuilding slowly, but not making their current team better. And that's where you get the friction from Aaron Rodgers and the GM, Brian Gutekunst. And this team is kind of, listen, the players themselves are all on board with Aaron Rodgers. They're still friends, all that jazz. They support him in whatever he decides. But as a player, you got to be thinking to yourself, damn, bro, if we don't have Aaron Rodgers this year, what the hell's the point of sticking around? You look at guys like Davante Adams. Davante Adams even thinking about maybe jumping ship if he can.
You're hearing a lot about people asking Derek Carr, because then they've played together back when they were in school. What would you do? He's like, I'll buy him a car, whatever.
He'll do whatever
First, we're going
can.
to face him in the championship game,
That's
the
the thing.
Super Bowl, then we're going to take him. You know what I mean?
Well, Derek Carr is 100% on board and trying to get and
Why
trying to
wouldn't he
lure
be?
Davante Adams. Obviously, they're college teammates. They work well together. They have the chemistry. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But Green Bay is not going to let that happen,
Yeah.
because guess what? They have a little magic ticket. They got franchise tag, and they're just going to tag Davante Adams at the end of the year if they can't work out a deal. I have heard rumors, though, that Green Bay is trying to work on a deal with Adams on a mega deal, like probably to make him the highest paid wide receiver, which is kind of getting crazy now.
Get down on your knees and tell me you love me.
The salary cap and these contracts are getting way out of control. But hey, if they do that to lock them up, then they do it. But in the end, there's a whole lot of questions right now before we even get to training camp. None of them will be answered.
And especially by Aaron Rodgers. Right now, he's saying the answers for Jeopardy, and people are asking the questions afterwards and stuff, and he's happy with that. He's growing the hair out a little bit, too.
Yeah, he's got a little longer
long kind
locks,
of-
right?
Yeah, it's interesting looking.
And I'll tell you right now, and that's the thing, too, is everybody keeps asking him. But guess what? Sorry, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. That's what he says. He said at the golf tournament just recently that, hey,
We'll see.
Aaron, are you
Yeah,
going
right.
to be there? And he's like, I don't know. That's the answer you get. So it's like,
got time for that.
no, you don't care. Listen, I don't know what's going to happen in the end. I kind of expect Rodgers to eventually come back to Green Bay. You know, something just that's what it feels like. It's like maybe he's just holding out, you know, and then in the very end he's going to come back and then be week 1 starter. But is it for real? Does he stick it out and say nope, not playing? It's going to be interesting to say the least.
when I'm playing.
Yeah, maybe he is happy when he's playing. But, again, he is really stubborn, though, too, in standing on this one thing, and he has a point, I think,
Yeah,
too.
absolutely.
And he's kind of showing him out there. He's like, you guys love this guy so much. Let's see what he can do for you then.
Right.
Because I know what I can do for you.
Yep.
You know, and what a better way to kind of
Make
do
you
it
a
for
winning team.
Yeah, absolutely. So then there we go. Let's bring it now to the final team in the NFC North. We're facing the NFC North's biggest questions, and now we've got the Minnesota Vikings here now, Joe. Vikings, a bit of a disarray a little bit at times, you know, last year. Again, still kind of for now their quarterback. It's just Kirk Cousins. We're still kind of sitting there holding the cards here and looking at this guy. We're like, was it really worth it for you now to spend all this money? We're not sure because, again, when you look back at it, you haven't got as close to the Super Bowl as you did with Case Keenum. So was it worth it? We'll see, you know, here. But what's, for you, one of the biggest questions here for the Minnesota Vikings?
I mean, I think for the longest time, Mike Zimmer's seen as a defensive-minded guy, right? He's seen as a defensive guru. He's been a D coordinator for the longest time in this league. And now he has the head coaching position for the Vikings and had it for like the past 7 years. So he's been there for a while. Will the Vikings defense have a bounce-back season? Will it return to dominance? Now, last season, we've seen that this team was heavily injured on defensive front. Not to mention they were playing with 2 new corners, 2 young guys that really didn't acclimate well to the NFL. You know, Mike Hughes and Jeff Gladney. Both guys, Gladney was more of the rookie. Mike Hughes has been there for a couple years. They finally get those starting roles, and they come in and they drop the ball. They just didn't do well. And on top of that, you had injury after injury on this side of the ball. So they just kept getting weaker and weaker as the season went on, and nothing was there. But now you look at this team on paper right now. You got to remember, too, is they did sign a dominant D tackle last offseason, Michael Pierce, from the Baltimore Ravens, seen as one of the dominant D tackles in the league. But he didn't play last year. He opted out. So he's returning to help strengthen this front, right? They also get in free agency Delvin Tomlinson from the Giants, a guy who's seen as a pretty decent D tackle. It's already an upgrade. They had nothing before. Now you add these 2 pieces there as well. On top of that, they just recently signed a guy like Sheldon Richardson back. He took like a 1-year hiatus with the Browns, and now signs up for it to be a depth piece to rotate in that D tackle position. You also look at Daniel Hunter, healthy again, coming back, a pass rushing specialist. This D line immediately has gotten not only better, but it looks like they can do some damage, you know, up front. Guys like Anthony Barr is healthy. Eric Kendricks, he's coming back healthy. He missed some time last year. A guy that's a little bit of a sleeper to me who got signed out of free agency is Ryan Connolly from the Giants. Jim, you know him very well.
I do. I really like him live. I'm really surprised that even he ended up getting waived by the Giants because
talent.
Because he had talent out there, and I remember him making plays before he got injured for the team. And he was one of those guys that wherever the ball was, he was over there making the tackle. And you haven't seen something like that since young Jason Pierre-Paul, when all of a sudden he might have been out of the play, but then came back around and still made the tackle, excelled and accelerated and got to it, and really didn't get beat on a lot of that. He was just knew where play recognition was there and go around there and make the tackle.
Yeah,
then also some picks too as well. It's just all over it. Ball hawk. Surprised that, again, the Giants waived him, but, they do have a good amount of talent there, linebacker there for them. So I think for this, the Vikings are big winners here in getting Ryan Connolly.
And that's the other thing, too, about Ryan Connolly is, he's coming off a major injury. So I feel like the Giants didn't have complete confidence in maybe his injury and him coming back. But we'll wait and see. Maybe Minnesota's confident enough for him to take
Perhaps
over.
He's still young,
Not
too.
to mention, you look at, and we mentioned before, the weak corners. So they end up adding a guy by the name of Patrick Peterson from the Cardinals, which is a huge upgrade. Even though he's in the latter part of his years, can still help this team. It's not going to get any worse, that's for sure. But Patrick Peterson definitely going to excel the secondary. You have Harrison Smith also still there. Xavier Woods, which is an interesting signing for me, safety from the Cowboys, who's seen as a bad player, or I guess a declining player, if you will, from the Cowboys. Maybe he can reinvent himself in Minnesota along with Harrison Smith. And Jeff Gladney showed a little bit of things in that he did well last year, enough to still remain the starter for them. And I think with a better secondary, with an improved defense, a healthier defense, this defense could very well return back to prominence.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you've got there with Mike Zimmer and Adam Zimmer there, too, at the defensive coordinator position, too. Trying to help, again, keep these guys healthy. Just some new personnel here to help them out further along. Now, offensively, Joe, again, they did find their struggles here. It seemed like they were missing a little bit on the wide receiver spot by not having whatchamacallit with them anymore, who went to Buffalo. But, Stephon Diggs, yes. But then Justin Jefferson, hot on the scene, rookie, looks amazing out there for them. Steps it up. Yep, absolutely for them. And again, Irv Smith Jr. there at tight end position. That was a nice 1-2 punch for these guys too. And Adam Thielen, they started to get it going late. Now can you kind of bottle all that up for this offense here next round, this next season moving forward? Dalvin Cook stay healthy, and what do you see out of this offense moving forward?
And that's the thing. The bottom line is, will this Vikings offense be better this year? I think it's 100% yes. I mean, you look at – listen, there was a lot of concerns with Stephon Diggs. They traded him away. Everyone's kind of like, oh, shit. What are we doing as the Minnesota Vikings? What are we doing? But they had a plan. They knew that they were going to go into the draft. They were going to get his successor. And I'll tell you right now, Justin Jefferson, I cannot believe how far he slid in that draft. I just can't believe it. I thought for sure the Eagles were going to take him. They didn't take him. I thought a lot of different teams were going to take him. But Jefferson there for them. And not to mention that he slid to Minnesota, but also to come in as a rookie as a wide receiver, it's not likely that they come out and they are gangbusters from the start. Justin Fields lit it up in the league. Showed everybody that they need to pay attention to him and pay attention quickly. So Justin Fields excelled tremendously, along with Adam Thielen being there and what he does normally. A big thing for the Vikings offense, as well as shoring up this offensive line. They drafted in the first round also Christian Darrisaw, who is seen as one of the better tackles coming out from Virginia Tech. This guy is an animal, a monster of a guy. You look at this guy, he's just huge. But he looks to lock down that left tackle position. They also added in free agency Dakota Dozier from the Jets, right guard, who I think is going to fit in well with this team. Not to mention with the guys that they already had implemented there in Ezra Cleveland and Brian O'Neill at right tackle. And here's the other thing, too, that's interesting, is everyone's like, well, we don't have Kyle Rudolph anymore. Well, that's okay, because you have a guy by the name of Irv Smith Jr., who is not only more athletic and faster, a guy who's going to be a legitimate threat at receiving the ball at that tight end position. So you look for him to be utilized even more of this upcoming season. And in turn, with all these weapons being spread around, and you have the likes of Dalvin Cook still there and Alexander Madison there, with that little tandem there, Kirk Cousins, he's got to be smiling ear to ear right now, because not only is he coming in with a healthy squad so far, he's got some upgrades to utilize. I think in the end, with this defense and offense, they are going to be much better.
Definitely. So then when you take a look back at it, I touched upon it when we first started talking about the Vikings here. Yeah. Overall encapsulating in this, they put this team together with these guys and got Kirk Cousins after the whole thing and making it to the championship game, which they could have played the Super Bowl in Minnesota right there, something now Tom Brady just did with the Buccaneers, and they haven't been there since. They built this team and got Kirk Cousins there to take down the likes of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, the up-and-coming Bears. It looked like that they were going to step up and maybe challenge for the division. Mike Zimmer was brought there to accomplish this, and he hasn't so far. So how far is the leash on Mike Zimmer? And now does this team, now the Vikings, need to make the playoffs at least to keep his job, if not take the division here from the Packers, who are now struggling with their own personal problems on the interior of the franchise, and also a Bears team who's trying to find themselves too, where they have a coach that's potentially in the hot seat now. For Mike Zimmer, is this all or nothing here for him?
I mean, that's what it sounds like. I mean, you look at his 7-year history, and he's kind of been – it's been like the stock market. He's been up, he's been down. He's been up, he's been down. He's been up and down. And at this point, he had a down point last year. They didn't really do that great. This year, you got to trend upwards again. You got to like kind of hold on to and ride this wave, and hopefully with your healthier team, with your more improved roster, hopefully everything lines up well for the Vikings, and they can be able to win a lot more games for Mike Zimmer, because I think he needs it. I think he needs to show that this team is ready to win. You know, they have talent. It's just now they gotta the window's closing. We said that before. That the window's closing big time for this team, because now this is the last year of Kirk Cousins' contract. Now it's put up or shut up. You have to make a strong push, not only make the playoffs, but even further than that, if you can. Because what's to say that now the Minnesota's brass is going to decide, they got a big decision to make with Kirk Cousins. Are they going to re-sign this guy for buku dollars? Like, are they going to give this guy $35+ million a year? You know, more than what he was making before, which was fully guaranteed, which is insane. Or do they look to move on? It might be time to kind of switch gears, and they should have been doing this like last year to prepare for this eventual outcome. Is you need to find your future franchise quarterback, because if you don't, and you kind of go cold turkey, and Kirk Cousins, you let him go, what do you have to replace him? Nothing right now. You got nothing on this roster that can help move this team forward. You know, like a Case Keenum. You know what I mean? Like anybody that kind of showed a little bit of a spark in Minnesota. So now it's getting down to the finish line is getting close. What are you going to do, Minnesota? This is the year that you have to push forward. You have to make big strides to hold on to not only Mike Zimmer's job, but also kind of make an argument maybe to keep Kirk Cousins if this can happen for this organization. So I think it goes both ways here, actually, now that I think about it, this could help potentially save Zimmer's job, but also could potentially make that argument like we should hold on to Kirk Cousins as well.
Yeah, and this is why I think it's not the same, but I think also within speaking with each other over Twitter and stuff, this is why the Cowboys were trying to hold out on that whole deal with Dak Prescott and stuff, because they're trying to look at this and evaluate it as, you know, we want you to be here. We want you to be our guy, you know, this and this, but we're not willing to bank everything on you and perhaps damage the team for the long run here and giving you all this guaranteed money moving forward if we don't potentially get to this spot. You know what I'm saying? Because this is where the Vikings kind of are with this team and these guys and Kirk Cousins and what they did with them. By giving him all that guaranteed money, we basically said, this is it. We're putting it all on you. And that's what I mean. When you look at some of these contracts, I mean, he could be probably this guy that is that marker now. Because you look at some of these guys that you know, like Patrick Mahomes, he's showing that he's well worth it. And
right.
Kirk Cousins, when you look at it, comparisons like that, you've seen guys. We had the arguments when Eli Manning's the highest paid player, and then now Matthew Stafford's the highest paid player. Are they even worth it? Why are they getting these deals? He's one of those benchmark guys where you kind of look at it, too. Tom Brady was getting paid a lot less than some of these other quarterbacks and stuff like that.
Tom Brady
took less money and was more accomplished altogether, especially winning the rings for the teams. And
but that's the thing.
What matters.
Why was he that successful? Is because he took less money on purpose to help the team out, so they could utilize that extra money to go get another one or two free agents to help them win.
Exactly, because you know what? Winning, no matter what, if you win together as a team, that keeps you on board.
Right.
And you know that exactly. Look at Tom Brady again. He's had to be able to be successful and still be able to pass the ball around, be accurate and stuff like that. But again, if you're not winning, I mean, it gets old pretty quick. And if you're making a
yeah.
whole lot of money, that makes it a lot worse. And then all fingers are pointing at you. So would you rather try to get the big money grab while you can, or really try and be a big team player, still get paid? I mean, because if you're employed, you're still making money. If you get big money quick and then all of a sudden you're out of the NFL pretty quick, how well did that do that for you? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's not a career. I mean, that's basically a stint. That's what the difference between a stint in the NFL and a career in
Right.
the NFL.
And that's the thing, too, is you look at Kirk Cousins right now. Kirk Cousins is thinking the same exact thing. Like, he knows that this is a year where he really needs to show out to kind of hope that he can stay with Minnesota. Because, to be honest, like, I know there's going to be other teams that need quarterback, and he could probably get another job elsewhere and all that. But I don't think he wants to leave. I think he's so comfortable now with being with Minnesota and having the weapons that he has in this team. He knows he could win with them.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to make that that extra stride and prove to everybody why you belong with this team. And as far as Dak Prescott goes, the Cowboys didn't wait long enough because he signed to a long-term deal.
Yeah, he
so
did.
that to me was a little bit premature. I mean, I understand that they wanted to satisfy him, make sure that they didn't have any questions at that position and to hold and retain him. But now, what is this going to do for you in the future? Because we already know that they got in financial trouble, you know, to be able to try to re-sign some of these bigger names. You saw Byron Jones left scot-free, goodbye. You know, one of the better corners. You got a lot of guys also kind of on musical chairs right now, defensively and offensively, that either they paid a boatload of money to, Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, you know what I mean, Amari Cooper, like all these big names. But now it's like you don't have any added asset to add more talent to the defensive roster that you desperately need. And it's like now you have a lot of it towards Dak Prescott. If you don't win with Prescott, if you don't win a Super Bowl with Prescott, it's a complete failure.
Right, and then you're talking in the lines of what people, Cowboys fans, have brought up about Tony Romo the whole time. Yeah. You can get us so far, but not all the way like we're kind of expected. And that's the thing that happens with this the Dallas Cowboys, too, as well. They get off topic quick, is that they have these high expectations every year for some reason upon themselves and things, and
Right.
the media does it for them, too, as well. I think the media does it just because, again, they know there's such a one of those teams that have a big fan base and just like to really poke at them and have something to talk about and get everybody riled up, you know, because everybody, if you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, ears are listening, you know, so talk them up just to shoot them down just as fast. And when you look back at it, if they don't even take some of the division titles as much as, you know, Tony Romo has even done and made it to the playoffs, so just couldn't get out of the first round, second round here and there, then how much better was he than Tony Romo? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you're giving him that money, too, as well. Tony Romo laid out his whole life and his body until it was broken enough he just couldn't do it anymore. And now he's excelling in the announcing career and stuff like that.
In the booth.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's the gamble that these teams make. That's what the Vikings, I think, are facing right now. And that is the biggest questions here that we have for the
Jim.
NFC North. There you go.
Hey,
What's
Jim.
up? What's up?
We got to do a shout-out right here.
Oh, let's give
One
a
of our
shout-out
one
to-
of our old school know-it-alls
Old
is
school is in
watching
the
the
house.
show. Mike Tackett.
Mike Tackett's in the house.
What's
with
going
us
on,
tonight.
Mike?
Awesome. Mike Tackett is sitting there watching with us. My man. All right. Excellent. Shout out to Mike Tackett with us. And you know what? Also, it is, Joe. It's time to do a nice Rays promotion. You know,
Oh,
I've been
yes.
excited. I'm amped up. I've been
Let's
drinking
go,
now
baby.
the Rays. I have the. You'll
on.
see them out there, right there, the packets. I went and got my Rays, and I got the discount with our promotion, and also the 5 free mixers. You just on the go packets. You mix it in, just powder, mix it in with an 8-ounce thing of water or bottle of water.
Yes, sir.
And it tastes just as good as the original Rays. All the energy, no crash, sugar-free, tastes great, no sticky aftertaste, all that crap, because I hate fake sugar taste, the sucralose and shit.
it's gross.
This makes it taste amazing.
So much better.
And
So much better.
that's at repsports.com. Raise Energy, promo code, raise them up. Go get yours now.
Yeah, get your Rays now, and you can also get any kind of products. They sell a bajillion different things, powders.
He's trying
They
a
sell
different
the-
one tonight, too.
Yeah,
What do you
I
got here?
I got South Beach, right, baby.
South
I'm
Beach,
going South
baby.
Beach tonight. That's where I'm at right now. Drinking this makes me feel cool, calm, collected, feel great. It's a different, unique taste. That's the one thing too about Rays Energy is a lot of their names that they even have on these cans are not even like, oh, it's grape, orange, cherry, whatever, boring cough syrup, whatever. It's very unique names, like South Beach. Are you kidding me? What the hell is that? Well, I'll tell you right now, I have no clue because it's such a unique flavor. You can't really tie it to one or two things. It's like a bajillion things. It's a mouthful of happiness. That's what it is. You got coconut in here, a little bit of coconut you taste. It's weird. I don't know what it is, but it tastes phenomenal.
That's it. Yeah, like I said, pre-workout, 30 minutes before,
Dude,
raise your game.
I'm telling you right now, get that promo code entered in. You get 15% off any order that you make. Also, they might be doing a promo code right now, a promo real quick, like Jim.
Yeah, they're still doing that for a while.
Still doing it. Repsports.com. They got a promo for 4 or 5 cans of energy. What is it?
Yeah,
4 or 5?
five packets of the on the goes right there. There's a package like that, and they just send you random flavors,
and then
they're all good. I'm
too.
trying the lemon lime right now, but
yeah. So I mean, they listen. All you got to do is pay shipping right now with this promo.
Yep.
So you get to try it out. You're not going to be disappointed. I'll tell you that right now because we're not lying. This is legitimately no crash. You see how I'm talking right now? I am so pumped up with this. I could go all night.
All right.
But let's go. Let's have it.
Then it's Mike Tackett's in the house with us here. He says, "Happy Hump Day, Rays football in the know family." Absolutely. And he says next month we'll be enjoying preseason. Can't wait.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I mean it is coming soon. This month is going to be exciting for us. We're moving forward into new ventures and stuff, and we're excited to make some announcements upcoming in this season too. So we can't wait.
Yes, sir.
You know, we just celebrated the nation's independence. I hope all
That's
you
right,
guys
baby.
had a great
Let's
Independence
go.
Day out there, and. Yeah, a lot of news coming up, and the preseason. We're excited to
Right
see
around
what
the
some
corner.
of these rookies are going to do. A
Woo!
lot of different faces on different teams, and let's get it going. And we
I-
have the Hall of
hey,
Fame game coming up.
all I
it's
gotta
gonna
say
be
is,
Cowboys
thanks-
and Steelers.
That's right. Thanks everybody who has supported us for all these time. What is it? It's been 4 years now,
This
right?
is now our 4th year.
4th year. We're going to 4 years. It's crazy. So thanks, everybody, for the support. Really appreciate all the sponsors. Thank you guys so much from Rays. And what is it? What's the other one?
Buck Environmental Solutions.
Buck Environmental Solutions.
Buck Environmental Solutions. Let me tell you, if you guys got the fleas, the ticks, and everything out, we have ticks like crazy out here where we are. I called my buddy, James Buck. I said, yo, it's time, buddy. You know, summer's coming on. You got these
Buckinator.
ticks and everything. I got bit the other day. You need to come over here. You do it. He shows up, does it all. Family friendly too there for the dogs and the cats, wherever you have animals out there. All that stuff's good and it won't harm your animals. The high octane stuff around the edges too. I got a lot of woods around me. Takes care of it. No ticks. I'm
Definitely.
rolling around on the grass like a child. Nothing. It's amazing. Buck Environmental Solutions. Check them out.
Just again, once again, we thank you guys really from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for all the support. Thanks for all the people that have been long-time listeners, watchers, even the people that have just joined us. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. It's because of you guys is why we keep doing the show. Do it for fun, but we also like to interact with you guys. Get your guys' opinions on it. Hey, listen, don't be shy. In the comment section down below, at any point in time in our live show, we will answer questions. We will react to any kind of opinion that you guys might have, or anything. Really, hope you guys can interact with us a little bit more. And also, if you have any friends, family, relatives, anybody at all that loves football like we do, very passionate about it, make sure you reach out to them, send them our way, send them over to YouTube, Football on the No Show, hit the subscribe button, also hit that notification bell to get all our latest and greatest updated content. That way you guys can see when we go live, as well as on Facebook, Football on the No with Jim and Joe on our page. Lock it in, become a know-it-all, become a member. That's what we're all about. And if you don't have time to watch our videos when we go live, that's okay. You can watch it later. It doesn't need to happen tonight. But also you can follow us on Twitter. We do some little skits. We post some news that happens, even minor news, major news, whatever, at FB_no. Follow us on Twitter as well.
Absolutely. There you go. And so next, let's talk about we want to bring this up, and it's been a debate of ours too for a while. But interesting news here now. Pro Bowl week. They're trying to make it more interesting here for maybe to get some people even there. And I know they've had the draft here now in Vegas. Here we go. We got now the East-West Shrine Bowl is now moved to February 3rd, the same week of Pro Bowl week here is now in Vegas.
Right.
The Pro Bowl is in Vegas too. They're just going to be 2 different days within the same week. So now the NFL has joined hands with college football hand in hand and said, We need your help. You need to keep. We need
Keep
your
entertainment.
All-Star game to make all our All-Star game better. We need you to come and help us out in this situation. And this is kind of an interesting point for me because, it's not only different for some of the teams that used to bring the scouts, together to watch the Senior Bowl, then also the East-West game there too. But then also now you've got college kids going to the East-West game. They're not in Florida anymore. Now they're in Vegas.
Party!
They can party, do all that, hang with even some of the NFL players that are going to be around hanging out. Now the NFL players there in Vegas instead of Florida again. It's kind of a downer. It's always been kind of a head-scratcher for me with the Pro Bowl week. When you get the NFL guys together, whoever it was in this group, and says, Honolulu, Hawaii, we've been doing this for years. People
We
are
love it.
watching, whatever. How are we going to make this better? Well, let's put it in Orlando, Florida, which anybody can go to,
Anytime.
anytime.
This is where I train. Why do I want to go to Florida?
Right. And then let's put it the week before the Super Bowl. So now even our best players who are most likely going to be in the Super Bowl
Right.
can't even play. They'll bow out because they don't want to get injured. So then we have the second to third rate guys in there that barely make it and things. That makes it more interesting to me, right? So then we even said, hey, Wes, where's the competitions? Bring the competitions back. They give us dodgeball.
Stupid.
And some other competitions with guys that doesn't even matter. You might as well be doing the spoon with an egg and travel back around and hand it to the other guys for all I friggin' care about. What happened to the good stuff? Where when I was younger, again, I hate to be that guy, an old guy, but like back in my day, we used to see Dan Marino and, Joe Montana throwing targets. They're moving back and forth, and whoever hit the most targets would be the winner, And that was cool, though. You got to see it. You see and hear these guys jive talking back and forth. Jam, I'm faster
Having a
than
good
you.
time.
I can throw harder
Right.
than you, Mahomes.
I can throw farther than you.
And let's see it then.
Let's
Put it
see
out
it.
there.
Yes.
With NFL, it's there for you. Social media themselves, the players are building it up for you. Why can't you give us something like this, something for these people to watch potentially the week before the Super Bowl? How about that? All the competitions even the week before, and then maybe the week after do the game or something. Spread it out. I know if you want to try and get, contract money with the, TV deals and
can
stuff
still
like that
do
the
it.
week before, you can still do it. Spread it out. This is what we miss about the Pro Bowl because the game, the games, the players are too smart now. They ain't going to be like, I'm not going to risk myself in this game, potentially hurt myself.
Injury, yeah.
Especially the players that are going to be playing the next week in the Super Bowl. They're not going
They
to
don't
do
show
it.
up.
So now you go and you go with the college football, crowd, NCAA, trying to get those fans to maybe come to this game, see the East-West game. Hey, stick around. The Pro Bowl's coming around too. You guys should watch that game too, maybe.
Yeah, and that's the
Is
thing
that
too.
your point?
Listen, this is great. I love the whole idea of East-West Shrine Game. It's definitely entertainment that people are going to tune into because it matters. And that's the thing too is like the Pro Bowl doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter at all. Like you can try to put an incentive in there like, hey, winning team wins $1 million. Okay, so what? They don't play like it's not like you get to see the AFC versus the NFC in true form. Listen, how awesome would it be if all these players were so tuned in and so ready to go that they were playing all out in these games? Because that would make it a tremendously awesome game. We're never going to see that. They're worried about, like Jim was mentioning, injury. They're worried about, hey, I got a vacation planned right after this. I'm not going to risk any kind of thing. I'm going to just take it easy. Everyone takes it easy. It's a very lax game, very pathetic, really. It's very pathetic of a game to watch. It's not exciting. It's not entertaining. Everyone knows it's doesn't mean nothing. But East-West Shrine Game, that means something. That's where all these prospects come to show off their talent, to hopefully they can build a better stock into the upcoming draft so they can get drafted higher. That's the thing that's important. And that happens, I think, on Thursday night of the week of the Pro Bowl.
I think
you said.
so, because
and then you have
it's like 3 days earlier.
and then you have the Pro Bowl happening Sunday, but who cares? How about we just get rid of, like Jim was saying, let's just get rid of the Pro Bowl game altogether. You can still have, you can change it to like all-star list. You made you're an all-star, right? So AFC All-Stars and NFC All-Stars, congratulations. Here's a plaque. Great job. Amazing, right? And that would be all well and good, but really fans want to be entertained. And what do we want to see the most of? Competition. And that's what players want to do. They would rather do competitions, skill competitions like we used to have. What quarterbacks can hit moving targets and get points that way? What quarterbacks have the strongest arm? Have them compete against each other. They can all prove it there. Fastest man competition, that's been gone for way too long. Bring that back. who can really be the true fastest man that every single year, get proven. And then even for linemen, let's give the linemen some love. Jim and I were talking off camera, and Jim had a pretty good ideas. How about we get those linemen against each other, put them in like a little bit of like a ring or whatever, and have a pushing competition. You know what I mean? See who's the top.
I thought like a circle, like
guy.
who, again, because that's what you're talking about, forcing your will upon another man.
Yeah,
let's get these guys together. Who can push you out of the circle?
That could be one competition. The other competition that I would do, because I know linemen in general would love to do this, offense and defense, is a strength competition. As far as like who can lift the most weight, who can lift a certain amount of weight, the most reps. I mean, they could do a lot of different things, a lot of different skill competitions for every position. And who has the best hands? Like, there could be so many things, and fans would absolutely love this because just like we were talking about earlier, guess what? If you're worried about sponsorships and making TV money and all that, you can still do it. In fact, I guarantee you with a skills competition extravaganza, you would have more people present for it, and you would have more people tuning in on TV to watch this because it would be entertaining. It'd be great to see some of your favorite players out there competing in these different various skill competitions, and you're rooting for them. Mm-hmm. Like, it would be kind of cool to see. And they've done a kind of a minor type of skills competition where they have, like you were saying, like we were kind of discussing with, like, who cares if a receiver or running back can throw a football to one of the receivers.
Yeah, like
competing.
I saw Adam Thielen being in a throwing competition.
And you get I don't care about
Adam Thielen if he can throw.
That. But let's prove position by position who could be the best in any given category. That would be a lot of fun. They should definitely do that. Get rid of the Pro Bowl game. No one cares about that anymore. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, and even if you want to be fun, a lot of people like those viral videos when you see the big dudes and they do the smacking contest. You know what I mean?
Or I mean, they could do so many things.
Yeah, I would just see Aaron Donald, smack, bam, another big guy, smack, smack.
And they could do arm wrestling competitions. They could do a lot of different stuff.
I think it would be amazing, and that's what I mean. That would generate revenue. I think people would want to just see that.
You could still have
just keep that too.
And that's the thing. You could still have the AFC versus the NFC. You could still have that kind of have teams or individual players from both sides go against each other to prove what conference wins, and then you have individuals awards and everything. Like, I think it would be a blast. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And entertaining.
Let's go. So that was our rant on all that. So, again, the East-West game.
Good for
and
a
the
while.
one good thing I think I like about this, too, is it raises awareness about the Shriners Children's Hospital
100%.
and the money that's going to be donated to this hospital and what it stands for. I think that's just as big as well. And the fact that it's there in Vegas, I think it will be a lot more people around to and bear witness on this whole thing. So then potential to raise more money for such a good cause for that altogether. And like I said, college players there get to see some of the pros too as well, probably hanging there for the same week. Get used to some of that even attention early. Get that run. They do still with the game anyways, but you're there, Vegas, bigger city. You know what I mean? The media is going to be all about it. So, I mean, I understand where they're going at. I still think they should still touch on different things to improve Pro Bowl week here other than this.
Get rid of the game.
But it's exciting. We'll see what happens. But I think they will watch the TV ratings most during this week and see how the East-West game performs to compare it to the Pro Bowl. And
I'm sorry. I don't know if you're on board with me, but I definitely think that East-West Shrine game will have way more people tuning into that.
I think so as well.
Than the Pro Bowl, because it's just stupid.
Because people love college football around here too, and that's the big thing. So
it means something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Get rid of that shit.
So talking about big hits and stuff like that, I mean, there's been a lot of big hits going on with all these players and things like that, and we'll see how that leads along with the season moving forward.
Right.
But a lot of things to talk about the next coming weeks. We have biggest questions coming up next week too as well. We'll cover one of the next divisions here, maybe the AFC North.
Okay.
We really appreciate you guys joining along with us tonight. We thanks to Raise Energy and also Buck Environmental Solutions, Mike Tackett out there, Michael Guerrero too as well. Thanks so much for joining us, and we
Use
will
your
see
promo
you
code.
guys
Raise them up
next week.
Get some. South Beach.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.